cup of joe. Let's talk about some goings on and anything you know. Cup of joe. Let's talk about some goings on and anything you know. Good morning. Get in here and grab a cup of joe. Let's talk about some goings on and anything you know. Good morning. Get in here and grab a cup of joe. Let's talk about some goings on and anything you know. Good morning. Get in here and grab a cup of joe. Let's talk about some goings on and anything you know. Good morning. Get in here and grab a cup of joe. Let's talk about some goings on and anything you know.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Welcome in. Let me, hold on, I gotta close my door. I'll be right back. That was perfect timing. Right when I went live, my son in the background, sitting on the couch in the living room, belched. You all probably didn't hear, but maybe you did. Either way, that's just like, that's so perfect. That's so funny. Oh, perfect timing though. If nothing else, my sons have perfect timing, comedic timing, that is. Good morning, Denise. Welcome in. We got some things to talk about today. I was going to go live a couple of mornings ago with this story because it's actually about a week to 2 days old now. But it's going to be interesting to talk about it with a couple of other cases that are going to trial right now. The one in New Mexico and then the one in Kentucky with their newborns being unalived. And then we have one from 2023, just a couple of years ago. Well, she was sentenced in 2023. But anyway, if you get a chance to share, that would be great. If you get a chance to like, that would be great. I remember when I was doing my pre-crime con, like after I got to the hotel room, and I was like, I'm going to go live for like a half an hour before I actually go to the convention center. And I was like, like, share if you want to, don't if you don't want to. And that's fine and good. Obviously, you know, you're free to do that. But I realized that it really does help the algorithm a little bit if you remember to like and share. And even on these cases where I'm just reporting on stories that are already out there, it helps also to increase my platform for being able to share cases like London Valdez, who nobody is sharing, nobody is covering. So that's always good. Welcome in, everybody. So the main case that I want to cover is the dumpster baby in Austin, Texas. Was found in a dumpster on the 20th, and mom was arrested on the 25th. So just a couple of days ago. And I haven't seen this on the mainstream media. Not sure why. I have my theories on why it's not being covered in the mainstream media, but it's not. But we've also got a couple of other things to talk about. Ruth Miller, that Amish mother from Ohio, entered a plea of not guilty by reason of insanity this week. I think it was this week. Anyway, I just saw that story, so we're going to take a look at that hearing. We have a video of that hearing where she did that. We'll take a quick look at some of the body cam footage. We're not going to spend like a half an hour on it like we did last time. Just a few minutes because we did cover it last week. And also, hold on, let me look at my plan. Oh yeah, Laken Snelling. Laken Snelling had a hearing yesterday where she waived her preliminary hearing. So I think that goes to the grand jury now, if I remember right, if I heard right. That's Laken Snelling. That's a University of Kentucky cheerleader-ish person that you could tell in some of those photos recently that she was with child. Trial TV Live. Hey, good to see you. Thanks for dropping in. Thank you so much. So I've got some things I want to cover today. I'm going to give it like another minute or so before I dive into it. And of course, I've got to start out with my sports bit. And I've got that all dialed up and ready to go. But the amount of mothers that throw away their babies in the trash or the dumpster is disturbing. And that seems to be happening more and more. Like the two in New Mexico, the one that happened in 2023 and the one that is going to trial now, and where the Supreme Court of the state of New Mexico is going to have to decide whether or not that was privileged information that she shared with the doctors in the presence of the police was privileged or not. Supreme Court has to rule on that. That's like 3 weeks ago when they sent that to the Supreme Court. So I haven't seen anything where the New Mexico Supreme Court has, but the one before that, the one in 2023, was also in New Mexico. And the one I'm going to share with you today was in Austin, Texas, which isn't that far away from New Mexico. There are states that border each other. So I'm just curious why this one's not being covered as much nationally. Yes, Alexi Treviso. That is an interesting case. Very complex. And that whole doctor-patient privilege thing, well, like I said, the New Mexico Supreme Court is going to have to decide on that. And the one from 2023 was an Alexis. And I think her last name started with an A. We'll get to it here in a second. So there's an Alexi and an Alexis within 2 years of each other. They have some very similar cases in the state of New Mexico. All right, let's start out with my sports coverage. The Indiana Fever are in the WNBA playoffs, and in the first round, they upset the Atlanta Dream. They're the lower seed. The Atlanta Dream was the 2 seed. Indiana, was the 6 seed. And Indiana won that series. So now they're in the semifinals. There's 3 rounds in WNBA. This second round, the semifinals, is a best of 5. They're playing the 3 seed Las Vegas. I think it's the Aces. They won the first game, actually. They upset Las Vegas in Las Vegas, but now they've lost the last 2 games. So they're down 2-1 and a best of 5, which means if they lose another one, they're out. So they have to win out the next 2 games. This next game will be in Indianapolis. The one after that will be back in Las Vegas. So we'll see. Good morning, Salty. Good to see you in here. Thanks for dropping in. Salty's in here too, people. Anyway, yeah, so we're going to cover The dumpster baby, the baby that was found in a dumpster in Austin, Texas. The baby is alive. I'm not sure if it's a he or a she right now. I didn't catch that in any of the clips that I saw, and maybe they're keeping that private. Maybe they're not. Maybe I just missed it. And we're going to cover Laken Snelling's hearing yesterday. Then we're going to cover the Amish mom's hearing. Then maybe I'll have one more after that. We'll see how long that takes us. Sis, hey, welcome in, sis. You should have been a detective. Welcome in. Thanks for dropping in. Let me get to the sports story first. Let me get to the Indiana Fever losing yesterday and being pushed up against the ropes. They can't lose another game for the rest of the playoffs, so they won't make the finals. But having upset the higher seed in the first round was pretty cool. All right, here we go. Let it roll. Oh, no. There we go.
The Indiana Fever are now facing playoff elimination on Sunday. The team fell apart at home in the fourth quarter last night, losing Game 3 to the Las Vegas Aces. Our Rich and I is at Gainbridge Fieldhouse and has a breakdown of it all last night.
Home court advantage for the Fever for a pair of games this weekend at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. But Indiana is also home for Princeton's Jackie Young. Indiana's all-time leading high school basketball scorer helped the Las Vegas Aces build a double-digit lead in the first half. Young finished with a game-high 25 points.
So just to point out, let me expand that to full screen so you can see it better. Just to highlight that, the Las Vegas's leading scorer in the game last night is from Indiana, and she's the all-time highest scorer in Indiana high school basketball history. She's playing for Las Vegas now, and she helped Las Vegas beat the Indiana Fever last night, if you didn't catch that.
Kelsey Mitchell struggled early but warmed up late in the second quarter with a couple of threes. The Fever down just one at halftime. Indiana took its first lead in the third quarter. Lexi Hull showing no signs of playing with a sore back. After blowouts in the first two games, Game 3 was competitive most of the way.
I would say there was definitely a moment there where this place was rocking and all the momentum was building up. Giving up the layup in the last 3 seconds, I mean, that's probably going to haunt stuff, because it was more.
So she's talking about giving up a layup in the last 3 seconds is going to haunt Steph. So Stephanie White is the head coach of the Indiana Fever. I think this is her first year as the head coach in the WNBA. She is from a town southwest of Lafayette called South Lebanon. I think that's it, South Lebanon, a little tiny rural high school. But she was also an amazing high school player, and she came to Purdue, and she helped Purdue win their only recent national championship. I think it was 99 was the year Purdue won the women's national championship. And Purdue campus went crazy, and they were lighting couches on fire, and they were trying to turn cars over. Silliness, madness, but that was a good era of Purdue women's basketball.
More than that, it was just the momentum took the air out of the building.
But the Fever fell into a serious offensive slump to start the fourth quarter. Mitchell missing badly, and the Aces pulling away.
I definitely want to remain aggressive. Unfortunately, it didn't really fall my way shot-wise, but the goal is to always get there and create for others.
WNBA MVP Asia Wilson shot poorly and only scored 13 points, but Las Vegas wins comfortably, 84-72.
I thought our energy was good. I thought our competitive spirit was good. At the end of the day, you just look at the field goal mix and the free throw mix, and it's a different ball game. And
now the Fever fight just to keep their season alive, with Game 4 coming up here on Sunday at 3 o'clock in the best of 5 series. Rich Nye, 13 Sports.
Well, this morning.
Okay. So there's your little Joe Schmo sports bit to start off my show. Got to do the sports. So congratulations to the Fever for making it this far as a lower seed, upsetting the 2 seed in the first round, and good luck for the next 2 games, hopefully. Fingers crossed. All right. Now to some more serious stuff. I think what we're going to do first.
Good afternoon. The Hobbs team convicted
we're
of
going
attempted first-degree murder.
Hold on. Pause that. All right. We're going to go back and
child abuse was
look at the case of Alexis Avila. So this was the case of her throwing the baby in the dumpster in like 2022, and she was sentenced in 2023, or maybe it was longer between when, when she went to trial and when the incident actually occurred. But it's very similar to the one that's going on now in New Mexico. So let's look at Alexis Avila's sentencing from 2023, 2 years ago, and just a quick blurb on that story. Let's add that to the stage. There we go.
Afternoon. The Hobbs team convicted of attempted first-degree murder and child abuse was sentenced.
And why am I not hearing the
19-year-old
audio?
Alexis Avila was sentenced to 16.
Okay, you guys have to tell me if you can hear the audio or not, because I have my headphones on and I'm not hearing the audio now. So I'll give it a little delay to catch up. I'm going to let it play.
Good afternoon.
So somebody
The
drop a
Hobbs team
comment
convicted of
and tell me if you
attempted
can hear the
first-degree
audio
murder and
from
child
this.
abuse was sentenced this morning.
Okay.
19-year-old Alexis
gonna let it
Avila
play
was
down.
sentenced to 16 years behind bars. Avila was caught on camera throwing her baby in a dumpster behind a Hobbs shopping center in January of 2022. She has been on house arrest for nearly 14 months. Before she was sentenced, Avila expressed remorse for her actions to the judge.
I regret that his first hours of life were traumatic, and I regret that he will always have this in the back of his head and will think I do not love him.
Judge William Shoebridge reduced her sentence from 18 to 16 years for what he called, quote, mitigating factors, including her age at the time of the crime and undiagnosed mental illness, adding there is a greater impact to her and her son beyond the court's decision.
You've given yourself a life sentence.
She was actually
You've
caught
given
on
yourself
video
a life
doing that.
sentence of knowing what you did with your child. And you've also given your son that same life sentence. And that is probably something that is as hard to deal with as any length of time that you may have in prison.
Now, the baby survived his injuries and is now in the care of other relatives.
The state Supreme Court will decide.
Okay, so that was Alexis. And now we have Alexi Treviso. I'm going to have to fix my headphones somehow. I got to figure this out because I could not hear any of that audio from that. And I know it's these stupid headphones right here. So I'm going to try turning it off and turning it on again. All right, it says connected. All right, and it's not. Give me a minute here, guys. This case in Austin is very similar to the Alexis case we just watched. So I'm going to see if I can hit play and if I can hear it.
Decide whether certain evidence.
Nope, I can't hear it. Alexi Treviso. Now she's the one in New Mexico where I think her baby was found in the hospital trash, and she claimed that she didn't know she was pregnant. No excuses, Salty. Yes, no excuses for the mom. I thought you meant no excuses for me in my headphones. All right, take these stupid things off and go to my backups. Now these aren't working. This is amazing. Patience. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and play the Alexi video so you guys have something to watch while I'm fiddling with these stupid headphones. Alexi Treviso, here we go. It's only a couple of minutes long, but it's not quite the same as the case right now in Austin, but I mean, it's still a baby getting thrown away in the hospital trash.
The state Supreme Court will decide whether certain evidence will be allowed in the trial of Alexi Treviso. She's an Artesia woman accused of throwing her newborn baby into a hospital bathroom trash can. Reporter Alyssa Munoz is here with what we know so far.
I don't think I shared that. Move, head to the stage. And
Sasha, the Supreme Court will decide whether certain evidence will be allowed in the trial of Alexi Treviso. She's an Artesia woman accused of throwing her newborn baby into a hospital bathroom trash can. Reporter Alyssa Munoz is here with what we know so far.
Sasha, the Supreme Court is going to decide whether patient-physician privilege was in play while Treviso made certain statements in front of officers. Our legal expert says this ruling will be a big decision. In 2023, police say Alexi Treviso went to Artesia General Hospital. She went originally for back pain, but later staff found out she was pregnant. Officers say she gave birth in the bathroom and put the baby in a trash can where the infant was found unresponsive. Treviso and her mother are heard on body camera footage as doctors give the news in front of officers.
It's full term.
What? 9 months? Something was crying.
This statement and others that followed are not allowed to be used in court after a district judge decided last summer it falls under physician-patient privilege. KOAT's legal expert, John Day, weighing in on the state's position.
That decision, the district attorney wants the state Supreme Court to say that was not applicable here, that these statements were made with other people around, therefore there's no privilege. It's going to be a really interesting issue. The state courts have generally found that privilege is pretty strong.
The DA also arguing Treviso waived her privilege by continuing to talk with officers present.
And that's where the courts have to make that determination, is where does it fall under this privilege? Is it something that the court wants to protect, the idea that you should be allowed to talk to your doctors and nurses to get treatment for yourself? Or does it go beyond that and you're given that information that's not needed for medical treatment?
In court documents, the defense accused the doctor of planning her entry into the defendant's room to get incriminating statements.
It's going to be a real fact-specific inquiry that the court's going to have to make. One of the other things that the defense argued was that the doctors were acting sort of as agents for law enforcement. In other words, they were gathering information for law enforcement, not just for medical treatment.
Okay, so I still don't have the headphone thing figured out. I'm working on it. Yeah, so Salty says babies were turning up in garbage cans since the 90s. Trial TV Live. I'm not sure. Is that you, Aaron? When I moved to Florida in the 80s, a girl was in my math class, put her baby in the trash. I can remember when I was in middle school, I think it was the 8th grade. One of the girls was dating a freshman. So that was back when junior high schools are different than middle school. So junior high school was 7th, 8th, and 9th grade. So 9th graders, one of the 9th grade athletes was dating, gosh, she might have been a 7th grader. She was at least a 7th or 8th grader. And she got pregnant and she ended up having the baby. And hi, Aaron. And she was out of school for a good 2 years. I didn't see her again until 10th or 11th grade. So that completely changed her life to go ahead and go through with it, to have the baby. But I can imagine the panic that she felt when she first found out that she was pregnant. But like Salty said, no excuse for putting that baby in a dumpster. And we're going to see the one in Austin. I really want to get my headset figured out, but what I may have to do is play it through my computer speakers, which means I'm going to have to mute myself out when we're playing those videos, but I do want to hear the audio from those. Let's see. All right. Let's see if this will connect. It says it's connected. We'll play the audio. And it's not a headset thing. It is not a headset thing. It's my laptop thing. It's my new laptop. Nope. It's a laptop thing. It's not a headphone thing. So, all right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start playing the news stories for the one in Austin from a week ago leading up to when she was arrested a couple of days ago. And I'll mute myself out so we don't get an echo. How's that sound? One more backup set of headphones to try. All right. Let's get this next video queued up.
So we begin to.
We're going to go through the laptop speakers and I'm going to mute myself out. Why are we connected to two different things? That may be the issue. I wonder if I disconnect from my iPhone, if that will solve my headphone things. Because my iPhone, for some reason, connects with my new laptop. And maybe that's like overriding the audio settings somehow. iPhone. Remove device. Removing device. There we go. Okay, my iPhone's off of there. So I'm going to try the audio on those headphones. Are we still on? We're still on. Let's try it one more time. If this doesn't work, we're going to plan C.
Tonight with an update to
It doesn't work. All right. Let's go through stickers. Add stage. Mute myself.
a gut-wrenching story from over the weekend. An infant was found in a dumpster at a North Austin apartment complex, and we do want to warn you, some of this video may be tough to watch. Fox 7 Austin's Jenna King is joining us live from Dell Children's Medical Center in East Austin with the details. Jenna.
Yeah, Katie, APD told me earlier today that that baby is doing better, but still remains here at the hospital for evaluation. The investigation is still ongoing, but no charges have been filed just yet. Now, APD says that the baby was found around 1:30 on Saturday afternoon at the Palms on Lamar complex. Two people heard an infant crying in the dumpster and called 911. This video was sent to Fox 7 after the baby was found. The baby was taken, like I mentioned, to Dell Children and will be placed in child protective care. APD says detectives are working to track down the mother and whoever else might be responsible.
Right place, the right time. Like I said, based on the temperature, and the temperature probably is in the dumpster over there, time was of the essence, obviously. So we're very fortunate, very lucky that they happened to come by and that they reacted, that they did the right thing.
Now, Texas has a law called the Safe Haven Law, where you can drop off a newborn at any fire station, hospital, EMS station, police station, no questions asked. In some cities, temperature-controlled Safe Haven baby boxes are also available. Anyone with any information is urged to call the APD Child Abuse Unit. Katie?
And it's just such an upsetting story. I mean, how common do these surrenders happen, Jenna?
Yeah, very, very sad story. Yeah, the expert that I spoke with from those Safe Haven baby boxes says that abandonment in the country happens every 3 to 4 days. Now, as for those baby boxes, in the last 2 weeks, she says they've had 4 babies.
Wow. 4 babies in 2 weeks dropped off in the baby drop boxes. Wow. That's just, there are so many options. But four in baby drop boxes in the city of Austin in 2 weeks is a mind-boggling number to me. We're going to watch that whole press conference that the Austin Police Department had. Their press conferences are so weird. They only hold them on Facebook, or they only broadcast them on Facebook. I mean, other news outlets are there, and other news outlets have their own presser reports that they do and broadcast it. But as far as the Austin Police Department itself, it only broadcasts their press conferences on Facebook. So we know that from following the Lady Bird Lake stuff. It's so sad, Aaron. And we're gonna see, and I think I already told you the baby survived. So the baby is fortunate in that case, and actually the mother is too, because they've arrested the mother now, and her charges would be so much more severe if the baby had not survived. So we'll see in the end what she gets charged with and convicted of and sentenced to, assuming that she is the one. I mean, they've got to have a good probable cause affidavit or they wouldn't have arrested her. All right, so I'm going to share now the press conference from Facebook from the Austin PD right after the baby was found. On Facebook, here we go. Share that. Add that. Here we go.
Okay, I'll go whenever you guys are ready to go. Okay, is it started here? Okay. Okay, my name is Officer Aaron Townsend with the Austin Police Department Public Information Office. That's AARRNTOWNSEND. Today at approximately 1:36 p.m., officers received a 911 call. Two people came by here in this complex at 8600 North Lamar and heard what they thought might have been a newborn child, an infant, crying in a dumpster here on property. The people then, of course, they called 911. First responders arrived on scene and did recover what appeared to be a newborn infant in a dumpster. That child was transported to Dell Children, and at this point in time is fine. There's no issues as far as health-wise to the infant. So that's a very fortunate thing. It's an ongoing investigation at this point in time. There's not a lot known. Detectives are on scene doing the best work that they can to try to track down the mother and whoever else might be responsible. Anybody who has any information is encouraged to call our child abuse unit at 512-974-6880. And just to put this out there as well, just as a reminder, this is one of those things. Obviously, it's difficult to understand why something like this would happen. Just to remind people that there's an option out there. It's called for a safe haven law, basically, where you can drop off a newborn infant at any fire station, EMS station, police station, no questions asked. That is something that is an option. Fortunately, that wasn't in this case. We're very fortunate due to the high degree of temperature today, the conditions for a newborn. We're very, very fortunate that somebody did come across this newborn child and that child is safe. I'll take any questions you have at this time.
What is the protocol for newborns following the situation? What's going to happen from here on out?
Well, I would be definitely under CPS jurisdiction there, but from what I understand, the child will be placed into some sort of foster or CPS situation right now. They have people in line who've already been vetted to take care of infants, children who are, who need to be taken care of. So the child will most likely, until they find out more, go into a situation like that where someone will take care of the child until other arrangements can be made. The condition, I was just told by the sergeant over there, over the child abuse unit, that the child is safe and is healthy. It does not appear to have any kind of distress at all. And so as of right now, everything's fine with the child.
there any information you can provide on how quickly law enforcement came to the dumpster?
All I can say is that they came at 1:36. I didn't get the response time, but I would imagine it was probably a pretty quick response. But I don't know exactly the time frame, though.
Have any family members reached out at all?
Family members of, not that we know of, no. This is still ongoing investigation. Yes, sir.
Do authorities have any idea of how long the baby had been in the dumpster before it was found?
No, not at this time. Again, those are the pieces that will come together as they do. They walk around the complex. They ask people, maybe some possible witnesses, see if there's anybody who saw anything. They're going to put that together. But as of right now, there's no specific timeline.
And can you confirm this was a newborn girl?
That I don't know. I don't know. Infant is all that I was told. Newborn, appeared to be a newborn child.
Do we know how much longer the baby will be in the hospital for?
No, not at this time. My best guess, though, is that the child will remain there until accommodations can be made for somebody to take care of the child. So until that time, child's safe in the hospital. They're adult children's. They're probably doing an excellent job taking care of the child at this time, and it'll move from there.
What would you want to say to the people who found the baby and notified authorities?
I mean, obviously, we owe them a great deal. Right place, the right time. Like I said, based on the temperature probably is in the dumpster over there. Time was of the essence, obviously. So we're very fortunate, very lucky that they happened to come by and that they reacted, that they did the right thing. That they didn't just ignore it, that they actually acted and called 911 to get the baby help.
You talked about the safe haven law and the importance of that, but what would you like to say to people, to anyone who might have been responsible, how this really puts people into such a danger, considering the temperature, considering where they were found?
Right. I mean, it's a tough situation. I understand, that it's you might be in a situation that you don't want to be in. However, like I said, there are options, and those options, that safe haven law, where you can go drop off your newborn at a fire station, for example, that exists to avoid this very thing, so that people don't get desperate and think that their only option is to, discard the child. This is something that if you were to do something like that, you're not pursued. For the most part, it's literally an option that avoids a possible death and a homicide charge should that child die. So yes, it's very important that you if you really feel that way, that you take advantage of that and realize that that you'll be okay.
It's a miracle that the baby was found alive. I mean, for maybe the parents who are potentially watching the story right now, is there anything law enforcement would like to ask in terms of a message, in terms of finding more information for them specifically? Well,
I mean, it would be great if they just came forward and claimed responsibility, right? But sure. So yeah, we'd obviously like to plead to them. If anybody knows anything, if you know the parents, if you are the parents, just come and tell us what happened. Let's try to work this out and figure out, what the circumstances are, and then move forward from there. Fortunately, as I've already stated several times, the child is fine. Okay, so all is not lost. So come forward, and talk to the police about it, and we'll figure out what we need to do from there.
Do we know how long the baby had been born for? They said they were still in the middle of the
Yeah, again, I don't have the specifics on that. I think probably as this moves forward, they might have more information to be able to narrow down a timeline as far as how long. But as of right now, obviously, what the information that you have is a little bit more than I do. There was an umbilical cord attached, so obviously it appeared very, very new. But to the minute, to the hour, I don't know.
Have investigators said anything about the timing of when the baby was rescued? Like if it was maybe postponed, maybe 15 or so minutes, to get it too late?
No, I haven't heard any of that. But again, you can guess newborns are very vulnerable. They're very susceptible to the elements. Okay, there is even on regular births, I'm sure that there's just a certain window that can, when you look into the elements, when it becomes too late, they just can't. The exposure out here is just bad. So fortunately, in this case, somebody came by really quickly, and it's okay. Anything else? All right, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay. I unmuted myself on time that time. I'll get this figured out. So I think what I'm going to have to do to fix my audio is I'm going to have to go back from broadcasting from my old laptop because I didn't have these issues. I mean, I had issues from time to time, but this is definitely a laptop losing audio connection with my headphones issue. Bluetooth, and that last set of headphones I put on was a direct hardwired connection, and boom, it was gone. But as far as this case goes, so tragic. There's another video from the Austin Police Department, another press conference after they arrested mom. But there are a couple of other stories I want to see. First, there's an interview with the lady, one of the people that found the baby, and that's a pretty impactful interview. So I definitely want to watch that. It's a little longer, so I'll probably speed it up just a hair. So let me know if it gets to be too fast. She was very emotional. I think this is the right one. Let's share that at the stage. Here we go with this one. And I'm going to mute myself out. I got to hit the mute button first.
Thanks for joining us for KVU News at 6 here on KVU Plus. I'm Adam Bennett. We are starting with breaking news this evening. A baby has been found in a dumpster in North Austin. And just moments ago, police started a press conference to give us details. Let's go ahead and listen in live.
Figure out, what the
just seeing her just covered in blood like that and dirt and trash, like she just wasn't nothing, hurt me. The way that she was found in the trash can upside down with her head facing the trash can hurt me. Me trying to open up her eye, and I couldn't open her eye. Just broke me. Like, I didn't know what to do. I'm like, is she dying on me? Like,
my ex-boyfriend came to my house and was like, there's a dead baby a baby in the trash can. And I was just like, you're lying. And then I ran out here with no shoes and told him to get the blanket and grab the baby out the trash can. And I just started doing compressions on the baby's chest, just due to the fact that she looked like she was losing life. And we called EMS, firefighters, cops, and they arrived. They took her. She's still alive. She's great. She's a baby girl.
Was she crying when you got to her?
She was crying in the trash can. That's how they heard her cry. So she saved herself before anybody could save her.
Based on the condition you found her in, do you have any idea how long she had been in there?
She had to been there like maybe since overnight. Maybe 2-3 in the morning had to been. I mean, she looked brand new. I mean, just she was definitely born today. So she's like the September 20th baby, for sure. I mean, you could tell she umbilical cord still there. She had to have her overnight.
What do you want to say to her mother?
You're sorry, but you're individual. You know, there's people out here that literally can't have kids that wish they can, and you're dumping kids in the trash can. I mean, like I said, it's not illegal to take your child to a fire station and drop them off. It's not. I mean, you could have knocked on someone's door. Like anything, but throwing the baby in the trash is just insane.
She was covered in blood. What was it like seeing a little helpless baby like that? Like the whole she looked like when you saw her. How does it feel?
I felt hurt. Just seeing her just covered in blood like that and dirt and trash, like she just wasn't nothing, hurt me. The way that she was found in the trash can upside down with her head facing the trash can hurt me. Me trying to open up her eye, and I couldn't open her eye. Just broke me. Like, I didn't know what to do. I'm like, is she dying on me? Like, her other eye just started rolling to the back of her head, and I'm just like, please stay with me. I'm hitting her chest, just like talking to her. And I think when she started hearing it was a mother's voice or a female's voice, it kind of like, she kind of felt that, you know, it hurt that, and she knew she was safe at that point, you know what I mean? And I felt like she was just holding on for us. You know what I'm saying? She was just holding on because she knew she still had potential in this life, and I'm just thankful and grateful that she's healthy.
For a newborn.
For her to be a newborn and still having a umbilical cord that long, I mean, and been in this hot trash can. I mean, it was hot. My feet are black from me running to her. Mind you, running from my home when they told me she was in the trash can. Like, I ran. I didn't care how hot it was. If the concrete was hot, I can only imagine what that metal container trash can was like.
You guys saved her life today. What was it like to find out that she was going to be okay?
It's a miracle. It's a blessing. I just thank God for giving that baby the chance to be able to see what life is about. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm hurt. I'm really, really hurt.
And for the newborn, she was just born yesterday or today. Is there anything you would want her to know?
I just want that baby to know that she's loved by the whole community. I have so much support, and when she does ever get older and sees this, she can always count on me, no matter if it's 10, 30 years from now. I'm here. I'm here. I'm here.
I know rough start to this life, but what hopes do you have for the rest of her life when it comes to finding a home with family? What hopes do you have for her?
I hope she finds someone that loves her, that truly loves her, truly wants to be a parent to her. Like, that's what she needs, someone to really, really love her.
And you love her, it seems.
I already done named her.
What did
the name of Miracle Angel?
Why do you think it was important to name that?
Miracle Angel. Someone to really, really love her.
And you love her, it seems.
I already done named her.
What did
the name of Miracle Angel?
Why do you think it was important to name that?
Because she was a miracle and she's an angel. She's a miracle from God and an angel from the skies. I just feel like right place at the right time. I'm just thankful she's alive. That's my biggest thing. I'm just grateful and thankful, and we take anything for the baby. I mean, if y'all want to drop stuff off at the hospital, I know they said that y'all can do that. So that's what we'll be doing here in the bed. We just left from the hospital. So we'll be back up there.
Are you going to be able to maintain contact with her?
Not as of now. They said that I would have to wait till the investigation is done and get in contact with the CPS workers, and they'll let me know there. But I definitely do want to get in contact with the baby. Even if somebody else does adopt her or foster her, I still just want to just keep an update. Make sure, she is loved and she is cared for. And I want that female, that guy, whoever this was, to be found and held responsible. This is an ongoing thing. This is the second baby that I think has been found in Austin. And it sucks. It sucks. It does. I mean,
Would you consider adopting baby?
If I could, I would. I mean, if I had the financial, I probably would. Just because I know what it is to want to feel loved, and I know that's what that baby needs right now.
Thank you for watching. Please hit the subscribe button and get the latest.
So that was a little tough to watch, and you could tell how emotional she was. But it sounds like, and we heard in the press conference before that interview right there from Austin PD that the baby appears to be fully healthy and have no major health problems or complications. She said it was found face down. She found it face down in the dumpster. I think she said her boyfriend heard it crying from the dumpster, and he came running and he was like, I heard a baby crying in the dumpster. And so she went running out in her bare feet, and she's the one that actually picked her up out of the dumpster and opened up her eyes. The umbilical cord was still attached. She said it was definitely born today. So September 20th, exactly a week ago today. So last Saturday. Yeah, hi Bluebird, welcome in. Yeah, and that lady right there said it's the second one in Austin, so that's got to mean the second one recently, right? I would think so, like in the last year or so, I would think is what she's referring to, maybe. But found alive, and she called her Miracle Angel. She said I already named her. I thought she might have said it in Spanish first, but it was really low, so I couldn't understand it. Like maybe she named her Miracle Angel in Spanish, and I know what the Spanish word for angel is, but it didn't sound like she said the Spanish word for miracle, so I don't know. Anyway, kudos to that lady. That was amazing, touching, and yes, miraculous. Yeah. And this lady that we just watched had some choice words for the baby's mother. They got bleeped out. And we're going to see her in a second that it took them 5 days, but they did find the mother and track her down, and they have arrested her. There's a picture of her in a prison outfit, like this black and white stripes. So I'm not sure if that's a former booking photo or if that's a current booking photo of mom. But we know what her name is now, and we know that she has been charged with some pretty serious charges. So we can look at that now. Let's see.
This afternoon, Austin police say a baby found in a dumpster.
We'll skip that.
Austin police say this afternoon, Austin police say a baby and Austin police say they've arrested.
There we go. So we have the arrest. Oh, you guys probably heard that because I'm not muted out. There we go. Now I'll let you watch it and hear it at the same time. And I'll get out of the way. How's that? I'm still getting my audio figured out, guys. Thank you for your patience. Oh, let me mute out so you don't hear it.
Austin police say they've arrested a 22-year-old woman for abandoning her baby in a dumpster.
That baby girl was found alive Saturday afternoon. KVU's Jessica Cha joining us live from the North Austin apartment complex where the baby was found. Jessica, what did APD tell you about the suspect in this case?
Well, Mark, Austin police say that 22-year-old Nelly Dinora Rivera Felipe is the child's mother, and she's also responsible for dumping her baby here at this apartment complex off of North Lamar. Now she is being charged with felony child endangerment and abandonment.
He heard a cry coming from the dumpster. He said he didn't know if it was a bird, maybe an animal or something like that, but he said it might be a baby.
But what neighbors heard coming from a dumpster in North Austin on Saturday was a newborn baby.
They heard her cry, so she saved herself before anybody could save her. Umbilical cord still there. She had to have her overnight.
The she they mention is 22-year-old Nelly Dinora Rivera Felipe. Police say she's the infant's mother and dumped her baby there.
She is currently charged with abandoning or endangering a child with imminent danger, a second-degree felony.
Police say they were able to identify the mother using security footage and witness testimony. They believe the baby girl was born sometime on September 19th and abandoned the next day.
With that statement, she believed the child was lifeless.
This case is heartbreaking, and Detective Russell Constable with APD's Child Abuse Unit emphasizes that there are other options to surrender a child.
The state of Texas has a safe haven law, which provides for people to self-surrender a child younger than 60 days old to a location without being prosecuted.
That child can be dropped off at any hospital, EMS station, freestanding emergency medical facility, or fire station. No questions asked. Officials say those surrenders are rare, but they stress that it's an option.
Anybody that's found in similar circumstances, this is before or after the baby's born, please seek out and get help. There are safe ways to ensure that your baby can find a safe and stable home.
Now, police couldn't tell us much about Rivera Felipe's condition, just that she is held in the Travis County Jail and that she could be facing more charges. We did also reach out to her attorney, and he declined to comment on this case. Live in North Austin, Jessica Cha, KVU News.
Well, Texas safe haven law is also known as the Baby Moses Law. And according to the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services, 11 babies have been surrendered statewide this year under the Baby Moses Law. None here in the Austin area. For more information, you can call the Texas Baby Moses Hotline. The number is on your screen. That's 800-392-3352.
Okay, so there is a Baby Moses Law. I don't know. That's the first I've heard it called that, which is interesting because if you know your biblical history, Moses was put into a basket and sent downstream in the basket. And it was miraculous that he was found too, right? If that's what you subscribe to, that was an interesting thing to call it. But they said 11 babies have been surrendered in 2025. So what are we? We're in the 9th month, so a little more than a baby a month. None in Austin. So whatever the lady that found the baby said, this is the second one in Austin. So she must mean last year or the year before, but recent history, I'm guessing. self-surrender. Yes, so that means that, and actually I think it's more than just self-surrender. If we're talking about the babies, I think they can be dropped off anonymously. Like you can leave it in some type of a drop-off thing, and I don't know that you have to identify yourself, but I also don't know that you don't. I don't know much about the law. I want to look into it a little bit more. Anyway, that's so they arrested her. So there was an Austin PD press conference, once again broadcast on Facebook. So we saw a couple of clips of it in that last news clip, but now we're going to watch the full press conference, and I'm going to see if I can speed it up. But it's on Facebook, and I haven't been able to find a video like fast forward on Facebook, but I think we'll probably learn a couple of key things in this press conference. And maybe be able to answer some questions. No, we're going to remove that. I'm going to add this Facebook. Then I'm going to mute out and I'm going to hit play so you guys don't get an echo.
Good morning. I'm Detective Russell Constable, RussellConstable. I'm a detective with the Austin Police Department's Child Abuse Unit. Thank you for joining us today as we address a deeply concerning incident that occurred in our community on September 20th, 2025. I want to begin by thanking our fellow public safety partners, including the responding patrol officers, Austin Travis County EMS, Austin Fire Department, our crime scene specialists, and the Department of Family and Protective Services. I also want to acknowledge the community members who located the child, acted quickly, and contacted 911. Their decision to act made it possible for first responders to intervene swiftly and provide the care this infant urgently needed. Most importantly, we are thankful that the child is safe and receiving appropriate medical care. At this time, the infant remains in the hospital for observation and continued care and is under the supervision of medical staff and DFPS. We are happy to report that the child is doing very well and is thriving in the care of medical professionals. On Saturday, September 20th, 2025 at approximately 1:37 p.m., Austin police officers responded to a check welfare call in the 8600 block of North Lamar Boulevard, where a newborn baby had been found in a dumpster. Officers and EMS and fire department personnel arrived promptly and transported the infant to a local hospital, where the child continues to receive care. Detectives from the Austin Police Department's Child Abuse Unit, along with our crime scene specialists, processed the scene, gathered evidence, and interviewed witnesses. Based on the information developed during this investigation, we believe that Nelly Dinora Rivera Felipe was the individual who abandoned the newborn at that location. On Monday, September 22nd, 2025, Ms. Rivera Felipe was arrested and booked into the Travis County Jail. She is currently charged with abandoning or endangering a child with imminent danger, a second-degree felony. The investigation is still active and ongoing. While this case is heartbreaking, it highlights the importance of community awareness and swift responses to children in need of aid. To that end, we would like to remind everybody that the state of Texas has a safe haven law, which provides for people to self-surrender a child younger than 60 days old to a location without being prosecuted. These locations include a hospital, an EMS station, a freestanding emergency medical care facility, a fire station, or a child placing agency licensed under Chapter 42 of the Human Resources Code under certain conditions. The Austin Police Department remains committed to seeking justice and ensuring the well-being of those who cannot protect themselves. With me today are our partners from Austin Travis County EMS, Austin Fire Department, Department of Family and Protective Services, and we're all available for questions.
What type of charges do you think she might face, and were there any extenuating circumstances?
I cannot provide information as far as any extenuating circumstances for this. At this point, we have the one charge filed, but that doesn't mean that other charges won't be filed.
And how were you able to track down Ms. Rivera? Was there security camera footage that you guys looked at?
Yeah, so we were able to, with the help of security videos and members of the community there, that's how we were able to identify her.
there any information on the condition of the baby when it was initially transported to the hospital?
I can't provide as far as that, but the good thing is that the baby is doing well, well now.
We know the baby's a newborn, but how old is the baby?
So we don't have an exact, birth date or time. As far as our investigation goes, the best information that we have is that sometime on September 19th.
Is it a defense to not be aware of the safe haven law?
That's going to be a question for a court or a judge or the prosecutors to decide.
Is there anyone else that's potentially the APD is looking at as a possible suspect? Maybe the spouse or?
At this point in our investigation, we don't have any other suspects identified.
Was that baby born in a hospital, birth certificate, or do we know?
As far as our investigation, we don't believe so.
Did she give any sort of reason why?
So she did provide a statement, and with that statement, she believed the child was lifeless.
And the suspect is the mother?
Yes, ma'am.
Take one more.
She didn't say anyone else was involved, perhaps, or the father or anyone?
At this point in the investigation, we don't have any other suspects.
What is the condition of the suspect right now? Is she healthy?
So I can't comment on her health, but she is in Travis County Jail.
Good morning. Angela Peoples, Department of Family Protective Services. That's ANGELAPEOPLES. We would definitely want to inform the community about the Safe Haven law. There's the Safe Haven and Baby Moses hotline. We encourage any family that needs additional information about this law to please contact the 1-800 number to seek out information about appropriate secure places to assist with this situation.
Do you feel like there is widespread awareness in Austin about the Safe Haven law or not?
I feel like there is widespread awareness, but we would definitely like to encourage anybody in the community that needs additional information. And we as a department and all of our stakeholders along are trying to get out as much information as we can about this hotline.
For someone who believed that the child was lifeless, what sort of other options would you say are available?
We would always encourage families to contact the local EMS, contact law enforcement if you end up in a situation of this. The Baby Moses hotline is always available, but EMS and Austin Police Department should be their first resource.
Is it?
Question. A lot of people are interested in adopting this baby. Would her family be considered first, or would the baby just would anybody can adopt it? How does it work?
The department always considers family first as an option. Anybody interested in adopting or being a placement option, I would encourage them to reach out to the department to begin the process.
I know y'all have provided some statistics that only the Safe Haven law since 2020 has only been used 7 times.
I'm not 100% sure on those specific assistance. I do know there have been 11 safe surrenders within the state of Texas this year. None have been in Travis County.
Have you ever talked with Larcy Frausto, which is the woman who gave her CPR at the moment it was found on the dumpster? She is interested to foster her. Have you ever heard anything about from her?
We won't talk about specifics of the case, but we encourage anybody that would like to be an option to reach out to the department.
Okay, another question. The lady that rescued her is creating a GoFundMe and collecting money. Do people need some sort of money to be able to adopt a child?
You do not need money to directly adopt a child. There's a process, their local adoption agency to help with obtaining that if you would like to become a foster or adopted parent.
Do you have approximate numbers of how many children are in need of adoption in Travis County?
Unfortunately, I do not have those numbers. That's something that we can provide, but at this point, I don't have the numbers of children available for adoption.
Do you think it's thousands or hundreds? I know it's kind of hard to pin down.
And I would hate to estimate without having the specific numbers.
And going forward, this may be for APD as well, but will the mother have contact with the child, or will be allowed to have contact with the child ever again?
And that's something that we don't discuss, kind of like the future status of things. The child is in the custody of the Department of Family Protective Service, and we'll proceed like most traditional cases that we move forward with.
We'll take one more.
Just to reiterate, just talking about the baby Moses law, I mean, is there a message you want to say to anybody who's found in a similar circumstance?
I definitely want to encourage anybody that's found in the similar circumstances. This is before or after the baby's born. Please seek out and get help. There's safe ways to ensure that your baby can find a safe and stable home. This hotline is there to help educate the communities. And also, please, if you find yourself in this situation, reach out to local law enforcement and EMS to ensure the safety of the newborn baby.
Okay. We have a decent discussion going on here. Welcome in. Just call me Kim. Hey, it's good to see you. Kim, how could you not know about the safe haven laws? So I have a couple of thoughts on that. I dated for several years somebody who is an immigrant from Central America, now a U.S. citizen. But there is in my opinion, in my personal observations, and it does vary based on individual circumstances, but there was, in my personal experience, a tendency to just pay attention to your culture and your community and your family and not want anything to do with the laws and the government and the police, except as much as you need to become a U.S. citizen and remain here legally or illegally. We don't know if she was or if she wasn't. We're going to read the article here in a second about her arrest. It gives her name and it gives some details, more than what we saw in that video. But I think, and it's not necessarily just Latino, but I think it was more pronounced in my experience with that community that they were a little less apt to pay attention to everything that was going on in the big wide world, including safe haven laws, possibly. I mean, obviously, if she gave birth to this newborn, she'd been pregnant for at least, and it's healthy now, she'd been pregnant for at least 8 or 9 months. So what was she doing? Was she doing any research? Was she concerned about it at all for 8 or 9 months? Or did she just not find out about it and know that she was pregnant? Kind of like the Laken Snelling thing, supposedly. And the one, the Alexi case in New Mexico right now. I don't know. I mean, I have thoughts on it, but they're just thoughts, and we have a lot of things to figure out. Let's take a look at that article. I'm just going to read the article because it's a little more objective than watching the videos over and over and over again. Yeah, Kelly, I don't think they know right now if the baby was full term or not, but for it to survive at the dumpster as long as it did, it was probably pretty close to full term. Like they said, it had its umbilical cord still attached. All right, let's find that article. Hey, Trace on the case, my sister. Oh, Trace is in Newport Beach. Nice. Here we go. Here's the article from Fox 7. I'm not going to play that video because we get ads and all the other kinds of things, and I think we've seen everything or can read everything we have here. The brief. Austin police announce arrest in connection to baby found in dumpster. 22-year-old Nelly Dinora Rivera Felipe was arrested for the September 20th incident. The Austin Police Department says a suspect has been arrested. What they're saying, 22-year-old Nelly Dinora Rivera Felipe was arrested and booked into the Travis County Jail. She's charged with abandoning or endangering. So she's only got the one charge. I heard that in the press conference, and I hadn't heard that before. He said potentially other charges could be pending, but the initial charge is abandoning or endangering a child, elderly individual, or disabled individual. At the news conference, did she give any sort of reason why? She thought the baby was lifeless. I did hear that in the press conference. I'm curious about that. You know, I wonder if that's an excuse or if that's actually what she thought. because if the baby was crying loud enough face down inside the dumpster for somebody outside of it to hear it, did it wait till it was in the dumpster to start crying, or did it cry immediately when it came out? I mean, all of 3 of my 4 boys, not all 4, 3 of my 4 boys cried as soon as they came out, like instantly. But one of them was a little more lethargic and didn't, and we were worried about him for a while. He's fine now for the most part. That's a joke. But I've got to make jokes because this is so tragic. Yeah, Trace, you're a good one to consult with on this too, based on the history of where you used to work. You and I are going to talk about this a little bit. Right. Just call me Kim. That is a great point. That's the only point that matters in that. Lifeless or not, you don't throw a baby in a dumpster. So that does kind of sound more like an excuse, right? Oh, I thought it was dead, so I'm going to throw it in a dumpster? No. I have a really good friend. He and his wife had trouble conceiving. They had 1 son, healthy, but then they had a miscarriage on the second one, and they had it was stillborn early, and they still had a full funeral, and he's buried in a cemetery with a gravestone and everything. Yeah, even if they're born lifeless, you don't just throw them in a dumpster. Good point. Court documents revealed. Am I not sharing this with you? Dang it. All right, go back up. We hit the highlights there. She thought the baby was lifeless. Here we go. Court documents revealed Felipe admitted to giving birth in her apartment. Oh, so it was in her apartment on Friday, September 19th. Okay, so it was the day later. She told police she was scared and unsure about what she would do with the baby, and placed the baby in a white bucket and put it in the dumpster at around 9 p.m. that night, and survived till the next day. Wow. That baby's a survivor. Surveillance footage shows the next morning at around 10 a.m. Felipe threw a bag of garbage in the same dumpster as the one she discarded her child in. So she lived in that apartment complex. It was about 3.5 hours after that when the baby was found by other residents at the complex off of North Lamar in Austin. Hold on. Make sure there's not anything urgent coming through here. We'll talk about that text in a second. Their decision to act made it possible for first responders to intervene swiftly and provide the care this infant urgently needed, Detective Constable said. Police said the infant is in the hospital and is receiving continued care, but is doing well. Yeah, I got to comment on that real quick. Oh, just call me Kim. Oh, hold on. I'll get to your comment in a second. I thought the baby was what they showed her throwing out on camera. So it depends on whether her story is true or not. Like, did she really put the baby in a white bucket and throw the white bucket away? Or was the baby in the stuff that she took out the next morning? I don't know what to believe right now. If they didn't see her taking a white bucket out to the dumpster at any point in time on the security footage, then it sounds more like it was the next day when she actually threw it out. But I'm confused right now. We'll figure out the facts as we go. Oh my gosh, just call me Kim. That's heartbreaking. I'm sorry you had to go through all of that, and I'm glad you have the 2. What a blessing. That's precious. Yeah, it's hard, and harder for you than for most. Big hugs, Kim. Big hugs. Police said the infant is in the hospital and is receiving continued care, but is doing well. Nelly Rivera Felipe is in the Travis County Jail being held on a $50,000 bond. She's fortunate that the baby is alive today because it should be more than that. Why you should care. I didn't know Fox 7 asked that. We already care without you asking us why we should care. But this was Angela People said, I definitely want to encourage anybody that's found in a similar circumstance. This is before or after the baby's born. Please seek out and get help. I like that. There are safe ways to ensure that your baby can find a safe and stable home. Texas has a safe haven law where people can drop off a child younger than 60 days old at a hospital, EMS station, fire station, or child placing agency without being prosecuted. There have been 11 safe surrenders within the state of Texas this year. None have been in Travis County. Yeah, I have questions. I do. Maybe we'll figure some of those things out as we go. But yeah, the lady that found the baby had some choice names, some choice words for mom. And it's just so tragic that she had the baby in her apartment. So was she living alone in her apartment? And if there was anybody else that lived in that apartment with her, how did they not know that she had given birth? How did they not know that? They said specifically, we have no other suspects at this time. In other words, we don't know of anybody that we can charge with any crime right now. But I just have questions. If it was the day before and then they found it 12, 15 hours later, I was there at all 4 of my son's births, and that is a messy thing. Like, there are some men that don't have a stomach strong enough for that, because it's a thing. It's a biological miracle, but it's a little bit messy. And having it in having her, so it is a girl, we know that now, it is a little girl that she had in her apartment, and putting it in a white bucket and putting it in the trash. That's tough. That's really tough. So nobody, I mean, I have not seen this story on national media at all. And I have questions about that, because we've seen the other stories come up on national media, and maybe that's because they get closer to trial and we start following it more when they get closer to trial. But I'm not going to stop covering stories that nobody else is covering. I'm not going to stop covering London Valdez just because nobody else is covering it. And we don't have any answers yet. We don't have any updates from Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation Special Agent Ryan Beck. As far as I know, we don't have any updates yet. I mean, he's supposed to call the family and give them updates on a regular basis, and I know for a fact last week he didn't. So I don't know what's going on in that case. Not getting any answers to my FOIA requests, but I'm going to keep covering it, and maybe I need to go out there in person. Kelly, oh my gosh. Some women don't have a stomach for childbirth either. The doctor asked me if I wanted to watch myself in labor with the mirror, and I said, hell no. Oh. Yeah. So I think I've told this story once before. probably back in March for my youngest son's birthday. But I very well remember it because the NCAA tournament was going on and Purdue was in the NCAA tournament that year. But they weren't playing when my wife was in labor. But Valparaiso, which is a university in Indiana, used to have a law school, doesn't have a law school anymore, was playing Mississippi or Mississippi State, like in the first or second round, might have been the second round. And that's when Bryce Drew hit the game-winning shot at the end of the game. And I jumped up and yelled, and the doctor comes running in and the nurses come running in. What's wrong? What's wrong? Because my wife is in labor, in a labor and delivery room, in a labor and delivery ward. What's going on? What's wrong? I was like, this basketball shot. Bryce Drew just won the game for Valparaiso. And all the nurses like, oh my God. And the doctor's like, oh, I got to see the replay of that. Anyway, that's my fun labor and delivery story. But yeah. I was there for all 4 of them there, and I don't regret it for a second. Amazing, miraculous, messy experience. Hi, Spencer. Welcome in. I think we're going to move on from that story. Let me double check my playlist. Yeah, because next we have the Laken Snelling hearing from yesterday. So I'm going to let that play, and it's 20 minutes long. I don't think we'll watch all 20 minutes. Let me put it on playback speed. Okay, playback speed is 125, so we'll get there in like 3/4 the time, right? That math's not right. We'll get there in 5/6 the time. 5/4 the time? 4/5 the time? I can't math on the fly. I've tried it before and I mess it up every time. So let me add that to the playlist. I'm going to start that playing, and I will mute myself out again so we don't echo. Once I get it added to it, share screen. Here we go. And add to stage. Mute.
They found her newborn baby boy dead in a closet. I'll unpack the very latest on Laken Snelling's case, what happened in court, and what we know about that baby boy's death. Welcome to Crime Fix. I'm Anjanette Levy. Laken Snelling was in court this morning as she faces charges related to the birth and death of her baby boy. Snelling was a member of the stunt team at the University of Kentucky in Lexington. That basically means she was a cheerleader, but she has withdrawn from the school now that she's facing charges. She's currently out on bail and living with her parents in Tennessee after being charged criminally in connection to the death of her newborn baby boy. This case is not unlike others I've seen over the years, sadly. Back on August 27th, Lexington police received a 911 call from a home, and when they arrived, they found a baby boy wrapped in a towel in a black trash bag in a closet. Can you imagine? Police records say that the baby was cold to the touch, so there was no point in performing CPR. His life could not be saved. The baby had died. But how that baby died at this point remains a question without an answer. Police tracked down Laken Snelling, the baby's mother, and they say she admitted to giving birth to the baby and then trying to clean it all up. An incident report claims that Laken asked to be checked out at the police department, so she was taken to the hospital. Laken Snelling was charged with abuse of a corpse, concealing the birth of an infant, and tampering with physical evidence. An autopsy was performed on the baby boy, and it didn't reveal a cause of death. At this point, the cause and manner of death are listed as inconclusive, so it could be 8 to 10 weeks before those toxicology results come back. As far as manner of death goes, there are 5: undetermined, homicide, accidental, natural, and the one where a person dies by their own hands. Laken was very, very active on social media, as many young people are. She shared her life on TikTok. We found a video online of Laken performing cheerleading stunts with her squad. In it, she has a slight bump, but I don't know if you would be able to tell that she was pregnant unless you knew her, or maybe you think she might have put on some weight. So this morning, Laken Snelling was back in Lexington, Kentucky for a preliminary hearing. That's where prosecutors have to put on enough evidence to meet that low standard of probable cause. And after that, the case goes to a grand jury. This also gives the defense a chance to question witnesses and figure out a little bit more about the case.
Good morning, and you were Laken Snelling? Okay, yes, sir. Yeah, I look very way this is grand jury, the grand jury's office is I'll just step away back. Okay. Ms. Snelling, you just heard your attorney state that it's your desire to waive this matter to the Fayette County grand jury. You understood you got a right to have a preliminary hearing this morning, but it is your desire to waive this matter at this time. Yes.
So Laken Snelling waived her preliminary hearing, meaning she was giving up the right to the hearing so the Commonwealth didn't call any witnesses and her attorney did not get to question them.
Ms. Snelling, you just heard your attorney state that your desire to waive this matter to the Fayette County Grand Jury. You understood you got a right to have a preliminary hearing this morning, but it is your desire to waive this matter at this time. Okay. I know that you have posted in electronic monitoring, residing with parents, all of that still in place, correct? Okay. All right. So, thank you.
Laken Snelling scurried out of court, appearing to avoid any eye contact with the TV cameras. So to discuss the very latest in Laken Snelling's case, I want to bring in Mark Weaver. He works as a prosecutor in the state of Ohio and also just a lawyer in general. So Mark, Laken Snelling walks into court with her lawyer today, avoiding the cameras. That's my opinion, hair kind of like this and not, kind of standing by her lawyer and being shielded. So she's not on TV a lot. And she waives her preliminary hearing at the advice of her attorney. So explain to me why one would do that, because a lot of times these defense attorneys love a preliminary hearing because then they can really grill the detective or whoever takes the stand and get some info.
Sure. In most states, a preliminary hearing is a step that ensures there's enough evidence before the case goes on to trial. It's a way of getting a case dismissed if there's not enough evidence early on without having to bother with a trial. And law enforcement doesn't love doing it because it allows the defense lawyer, as you mentioned, to put the officers on the stand, ask a bunch of questions. It's almost like defense lawyers can kick the tires or test the case of the Commonwealth in this case. And so it's rare that you see a defense lawyer waive that. And the best theory is probably that this has been a big story in at least 2 states, and of course, nationally on networks like yours. And this lawyer is probably trying to shield this young woman from this very difficult and challenging set of facts, which is either she gave birth and didn't report the birth, which is a Class A misdemeanor in Kentucky, or she abused a corpse, which is a felony, or concealed or tampered with evidence, another felony. What we don't know is whether or not she actually killed the baby, and that's going to require some more testing.
That will require some more testing. And, I think you're right. I think that the defense attorney knows enough already, just based on the police reports and what's in the media, that he may know what happened. His client may have told him, attorney-client.
All right, I was muted. Joe, you're muted. Joe, you're muted. So what I said was I don't feel like watching the rest of that clip from Law and Crime because it's just the two of them talking about the case. Right, Spencer? Yeah. Oh, wow. I've got sunlight coming through my blinds now. See that little light on my face? The sun is shifting towards the south. Yeah. So anyway, I don't feel like watching the rest of that. Hold on 1 second here while I see what's next.
Tonight, newly released body.
Okay, so that's the latest on Laken Snelling. She waived her preliminary hearing, so it goes on to the next stage without the preliminary hearing. Somebody told me that it goes to the grand jury, but that doesn't make sense to me. Because once there's a grand jury indictment, or once there's an arrest with a probable cause affidavit, does it have to go to a grand jury? I don't know how it works in Kentucky. I don't know. Kelly, welcome into the new members. It's so awesome when people who support the channel get gifted those memberships. I appreciate that so much. Kathy and Kelly and Spinster, welcome in. So I haven't done a members only video in a while, and I was planning one this weekend. I was actually planning to do one this morning, but we see how that worked out. I started getting ready for this live and covering baby miracle angel in Austin instead. Thanks Forrest. Thanks Aaron for telling me I'm muted. Thanks Kim. I appreciate that. That's what happens when I double mute. So I muted on StreamYard, but then I also muted my microphone. So I only unmuted one instead of the other. So now we've got an update on the Amish mother from Ohio. Yeah, Forrest, I kind of agree with that. I thought it would be either or, either a grand jury with a grand jury indictment or a preliminary hearing, but not both. Yeah, so we'll have to figure it out. We'll figure that out. I'm sure we'll find out what the next step is in the trial, or leading up to the trial, in the preliminary hearings leading up to the trial. But Ruth Miller, the Amish mother in Ohio that drove her 4-year-old into a lake for him to drown, and then she also drove her two 18-year-old twin sons into the lake, and they were able to swim out. But then she also talked to her husband, so her husband swam around the lake once, and he got out of the lake, and then he felt like he needed to get back in and swim around the lake again, and then he ended up drowning. And she told officers that he was in a fish in the bottom of the lake. But she had a hearing. So we're going to watch body-worn cam, just very limited. It's only a couple of minutes long from last week. We're not going to do the extended version like we did last week. But this is her. Those are her two 18-year-old sons that are escorting her at the beginning of this video. So let's just refresh our memory about what this case was and how odd she was acting that day. Sorry. Add to stage. There we go. Let's put myself down here in the corner. And then mute. I will mute myself single time this time, not double mute. I'm only going to single mute so I can not be.
Camera video shows investigators speaking with a woman now indicted for the murder of her 4-year-old son, along with other charges for allegedly harming her other children.
Divers discovered the little boy's body nearly 2 weeks ago at the bottom of Atwood Lake in Tuscarawas County. Investigators say his mother drowned him.
The sheriff's office saying that the Amish woman was experiencing a mental crisis, a spiritual delusion. August 23rd, park rangers and sheriff's deputies show up to Atwood Lake after a 911 call about a golf cart with a woman and 3 teens going into the water. They managed to get to safety.
People are going to tell me I am crazy, but he is real, and he loves you. He really does love you.
The mother, Ruth Miller, talking to law enforcement about God, a conversation that led to a horrifying discovery.
I gave him to God.
You gave him to God?
Yes.
What do you mean by that?
I threw him in the lake, and I gave him to God.
Ruth describing her 4-year-old son.
He's sweet. I love him. I do.
She goes on to answer questions about her husband, Marcus, his whereabouts, saying he never returned from a walk.
We went to the boat, and his clothes were there. And God told me he's in the lake, and a fish swallowed him.
We're going to have to hold divers in and go to the bottom of the lake.
Please do.
And you're saying
the best ones there are. Because this is a miracle from God. We'll see.
Divers later found the bodies of her son and husband.
And the divers are both telling me in both cases that the bodies were completely rested on the bottom of the lake.
Miller is charged with aggravated murder, and felonious assault in her son's death, and with child endangering and domestic violence for allegedly driving that golf cart into the lake, with her 15-year-old daughter and twin 18-year-old sons on board. The Tuscarawas County Sheriff's Office says the family of 6 belonged to the Old Order Amish Church. They say the family was spending the weekend at Atwood Lake to relax, and the deadly chain of events relate to the parents initiating spiritual tasks for themselves and their kids in the water.
Some of them were bizarre. Some of them were just swimming exercises. The most bizarre was that God told her to allow herself to be swallowed by a fish.
The sheriff says Marcus, disappointed in his performance, went back to the lake alone and likely drowned. During her conversations with investigators, Miller kept referencing God.
Prepare your hearts. The end is close. And I'm for sure supposed to tell you that he does love you. Okay?
Kneeled to pray with a paramedic.
God, please show this woman that it is true.
Even requested to be reunited with her teenage children and for something to drink.
Does anybody have a glass of water?
We can get you water.
Now, Ruth Miller was initially taken to a secured hospital, but is now in the Tuscarawas County Jail. Her arraignment is set for Monday in court. Now, the family's church previously told News 5 that the events that unfolded that day at the lake do not reflect their teachings or beliefs, but were instead a result of mental illness.
Tuscarawas County. We had trouble with that last week. Tuscaroras. Yeah, and we're going to see in a second here with the next clip how she pled when she had her initial appearance in court this week. There definitely seem, well, you know what? It's hard to tell when you just observe somebody's slightly erratic religious behavior. It doesn't necessarily mean there's mental illness involved there. I mean, it's kind of like, well, she's acting kind of weird, but is that just like a weird religious thing, or is she really having religious delusions? So, I mean, she had enough religious delusions, or apparently to unalive her 4-year-old, try to unalive her 18-year-olds, and for her husband to drown himself. So is that like mass religious delusions? I'm still confused about that. Hi, Cat Ride. Welcome in. Welcome in. So let's take a look at her hearing that she had. I'm not exactly sure of the date. I'm going to have to mute myself for a second while I find it. Okay, I'm going to unmute just for a second because the look on this deputy's face when the cameras first start rolling just cracks me up. Like, what is going through his head? What is going through his head? You'll see it. There we go. That's the deputy in this courtroom where Ruth Miller is going to plead not guilty by reason of insanity. And he's got this look on his face when the cameras start rolling. He's got to be loving this, that this is out there on the YouTube streets, on the social media streets. And this is what's going through his head. All right, I'm going to mute out and I'm going to hit play so we don't get an echo.
Everyone may be seated. I appreciate that. And we are now proceeding in the case entitled the State of Ohio versus Ruth Miller. It is case number 2025 CR 090285. And we are here today for an arraignment. Ms. Miller, my name is Michael Ernest. I am a common pleas court judge. Your case is one that was randomly assigned to my court. And for an arraignment, there are 3 things that I do at every arraignment, and that is I address your right to counsel. I'm going to read to you something called an indictment. And I'm going to address the issue of bail as well. And starting in this matter, I would note, though, for the record, that in this case, notices of appearance have been filed on your behalf. Seated at counsel table is attorney Ian Friedman as well as Madeline Grant. The state of Ohio is represented as well at this table. To your left, my right, is attorney Ryan Steyer. He is our county prosecutor in Tuscarawas County. Tuscarawas County is handling this case. Adam Fisher is down at the end of the table. He is the tester. He's here as a representative from the state. Ms. Miller, from this point forward, there's never going to be a time where you are going to be in the courtroom alone. There's not. Every time we ever have a hearing, anything that we do in this case, I am going to be coordinating with attorney Friedman and attorney Grant. I think they have others as well. The bottom line is you're always going to be represented going forward throughout these proceedings. You're here today because the Tuscarawas County grand jury met and concluded that they should return an indictment against you. Now, an indictment is a charging document that comes about after the grand jury meets with the prosecutor, hears evidence from the prosecution standpoint, and concludes that there is at least probable cause to charge someone with a felony crime. It's a right that all Ohioans have. In this case, essentially think of them as like a check on the government. They got to make sure that there's at least probable cause before someone has to answer to a felony crime. Ms. Miller, in this case, the grand jury returned an indictment that consists of 7 counts. I'm going to read through those. Count 1 of the indictment is the offense of aggravated murder. It is what's called an unclassified felony in violation of revised code section 2903.01C and 2929.02A of the revised code. It provides here that on or about August the 23rd, 2025, here in Tuscarawas County, that the grand jury found that there was probable cause to believe that Ruth R. Miller did purposefully cause the death of a child victim designated as child victim 1, who was under the age of 13 years of age at the time of the commission of the offense. And they go on to specify that the birth date for the child is October the 12th of 2020. Count 2, murder. It's also an unclassified felony under 2903.02B, 2903.02D, and 2929.02B of code sections, which the cite. The grand jury again concluded that there was probable cause to believe that the defendant in this matter, on or about August the 23rd, 2025, unlawfully did cause the death of child victim 1 as a proximate result of the offender committing or attempting to commit an offense of violence that is a felony of the first or second degree, known as felonious assault, under 2903.11A1 of the revised code. Count 3. It's an offense known as felonious assault. It's a felony of the second degree under 2903.11A1, 2903.11D1A. Again, the grand jury concluded that there was probable cause to believe that you, the defendant, on or about August the 23rd, 2025, unlawfully did knowingly cause serious physical harm to child victim 1. Count 4. It's an offense known as endangering children. It's a misdemeanor of the first degree under the revised code section 2919.22A, E through A, the revised code. The grand jury concluded that the defendant, on or about August the 23rd, 2025, unlawfully was a parent, guardian, custodian, person having custody or control, person in local parentis of a child under 18 years of age, who did create a substantial risk to the health or safety of child victim, in this case it's designated child victim 2, by violating the duty of care, protection, or support. Count 5, domestic violence, a misdemeanor of first degree under 2919.25A, D2 of the revised code. It says here that on or about August the 23rd of 2025, that you unlawfully did knowingly cause or attempt to cause physical harm to child victim 2, a family or household member. Count 6, domestic violence, a misdemeanor of the first degree under 2919.25A, D2. Again, the grand jury concluded that you, the defendant, on or about August the 23rd of 2025, unlawfully did knowingly cause or attempt to cause physical harm to victim 3, a family or household member. Count 7, domestic violence, a misdemeanor of the first degree under 2919.25A, D2. Again, the relevant date, August the 23rd of 2025. Grand jury concluded there was probable cause to believe that you unlawfully did knowingly cause or attempt to cause physical harm to child victim 4, a family or household member. Those are all of the counts of the indictment, Ms. Miller. I have the original indictment from me. A copy of this indictment should have been provided to you at least 24 hours in advance of this hearing. Did you in fact receive a copy of this indictment 24 hours in advance of this hearing? Okay. Ms. Miller, from this point on, I'm going to be directing my attention to your attorneys. I believe Attorney Friedman?
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you.
My question to you then is, does there need to be any further reading of the indictment penalty sections that apply, the statutes under which your client is in charge, various constitutional and statutory privileges that apply, as well as possible pleas?
There does not need to be a reading.
Those will be indicated as waived. I'm also aware, Ms. Miller, that your attorneys earlier had filed on your behalf, as required by law, if someone intends to do this, a notice of the defendant's plea of not guilty by reason of insanity. I'm going to turn to Attorney Friedman just to confirm that's in fact the plea that should be entered in this case.
That is in fact the plea that we are entering by right at this time.
Okay, and that's what will be done. I will enter a plea then on your behalf of not guilty by reason of insanity. Not guilty by reason of insanity, I'm going to turn to Attorney Freeman just to confirm that's in fact the plea that should be entered in this case.
That is in fact the plea that we are entering by right at this time.
Okay. And that's what will be done. I will enter a plea on your behalf of not guilty by reason of insanity. And the next issue that we would typically be addressing at this time is the issue of bail. I always hear from the state first. I would certainly allow your attorneys to be heard on that issue. I always start with the state, and after I hear from the state, I'll hear from your counsel. Brian.
Thank you, Your Honor. This morning, we did file a motion to deny bail under Revised Code 2937-222, and we would ask that that be set for an evidentiary hearing. Further, in that filing, we moved for a no contact order with regard to the surviving victims here. That was imposed at the municipal court. We would ask that that be imposed until further considered at the evidentiary hearing.
Attorney Freeman, if you wish to be heard.
I do. Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, I am in receipt of the motion to deny bail and motion for no contact order. I would also concur that a evidentiary hearing need to be heard. I would ask by defense motion that that hearing be continued so that we have adequate time to prepare for it.
Thank you. Ms. Miller, by law, based upon the request that's been made by the state, I'm going to hold you in the Tuscarawas County Jail without bail. I typically would have to have a hearing within 3 days, but your attorneys made it clear to me beforehand that they intend to challenge that motion, but they need some time to prepare for it. I intend to give them that time to do that, so I'm not going to set it within those 3 days based upon your attorney's request. But at the conclusion of this hearing, coordinate with your attorneys with the state of Ohio to make sure that they have the adequate amount of time that they need to secure witnesses to be here at that hearing. So we're going to take care of that. We're going to make sure that we set it as soon as possibly can. So I am going to have you remanded back to the jail where you will be held. I'm going to have the hearing, and then I'll make a decision as to whether or not I agree with the state, or agree with your counsel, and set what I believe is the appropriate decision. The state of Ohio's request is, I believe, certainly a reasonable one to not have contact with those surviving victims in this matter. As I'm not setting any bail at this point in time, I guess I'm going to turn to your attorneys. Do you foresee any objection to having her wanting to have contact with them until we are able to actually have bail set?
No, I think that that should be made part of the evidentiary hearing as well. So I think that issue should be held in abeyance until we have that hearing.
Ryan, your thoughts on the matter? As I'm not setting any bail at this point, other than no bail.
I think it would be prudent at this point, and I would urge the court to implement immediately a no contact order with regard to the children. She does have phone privileges at the jail, and so there is some potential for contact, and I think that needs to be prohibited.
Let me just ask you, Ryan, is there some other avenue other than usually as a term of a bail, I would say you can't have contact with the victim because I'm not setting any bail. Is there some other avenue from which this could be addressed?
Your Honor, I think anytime you are putting on an entry as it relates to bail, I think anytime.
Okay, so I got to comment on that real quick. I don't understand why the judge is fighting the no contact order, because he's saying, well, she can't have bail. So what does it matter if there's a no contact order? And then this attorney says, well, because she can still call them because she has phone privileges. So there shouldn't be much of an argument there. Like she should have a no contact order for sure. Don't understand why the judge is arguing with that at this point in time. So we saw 5 or 6 charges, very serious charges, dealt with unaliving minor under the age of 13, domestic violence, a couple of other things. I should have written them down, but actually at the time that I should have been writing them down, I was trying to get onto the Ohio court system website and see if I could look her case up and look at the specific charges on there. I'm going to have to do that after this is over. There were 5 or 6 serious charges. It doesn't sound like any of the attorneys are arguing with the no bail at this point in time, not even her attorney, until they have the evidentiary hearing. We just heard the evidentiary hearing is usually held within 3 days. Her attorney asked for a continuance of that, obviously, because there is a ton of evidence to look over and to prepare for that evidentiary hearing. So the judge is going to issue that continuance for the evidentiary hearing, going to hold her on no bail until that hearing, at least, if not beyond. But right now they're arguing about a no contact order that I don't think should require any arguments at all. And he's kind of putting this guy on the spot to say, Why do we even need a no contact order? And the guy just said, well, because she has phone privileges. So anyway, I'm going to let this play on. I'm going to mute out so we don't have an echo.
Time you do that, you have the inherent authority to set restrictions. If the court were to impose immediately a no contact order, either directly or indirectly with your children, and if we were later to learn that there was an infraction in that regard, we could bring that to the attention of the court, and the jail could take corrective measures.
Okay. Let's do this. Ms. Miller, I think you probably gather this is not something the state wants you to do, is to have contact with any alleged victim. I'm going to take matters under advice. I want to double check a couple of things on that point. But as of right now, you're going to be remanded back to the jail where you will be held until we have the essentially called a no bail hearing. And from there, I'll be able to set forth specific orders as to what the bail is or isn't going to be in this case. Anything further from the state?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
From the defense counsel?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
All right. Thank you, everyone. And from there, I will issue in writing what is taking place here today. It's going to be shared with your attorneys, Ms. Miller, and share it with you. Yeah, let's talk about. I think I know what you're asking, and we can address it after. If there's nothing further, then the arraignment is concluded, and I will get back to jail.
So it sounded like the judge said at the very end, you shouldn't have any contact with any of the victims. I think the only surviving victims are her 2 teenage sons, if I remember right. Kelly, I don't remember how old she is. She looks around 40-ish, 40 to 45 to me. Guess I can look it up real quick. She pled not guilty by reason of insanity. Oh gosh, that's a while ago. I'm late to the party on this. That was on September 9th that she pled not guilty by reason of insanity. So this is an older hearing, but it was new to me. So you all got the pleasure of watching it with me. She's 40 years old. Hey, I nailed that. She is 40 years old. Nailed it. I'm usually not good at that thing. Especially when she was wearing that head thing in the body cam footage, like her, whatever that was. Oh, there's a 15-year-old also. Thank you, Just Call Me Kim. There's a 15-year-old also. So the judge did say no contact with any of the alleged victims. So good for him. That's definitely appropriate in this case without any kind of a hearing. Maybe at the evidentiary hearing later for the no bond hearing, they can talk about it then. Talk about it more. And I think at that point in time, then the victims can say whether or not, and sometimes it's at this stage, it's at the arraignment. Sometimes they will let the victim speak up and say, you know what, it's okay if they have contact with me. Like when I watch 15-year-old daughter, there we go. When I watch Pima County Court with 857 Tucson, which he does twice a day, there will be people with DV charges against them. And the judge will allow the victim to call in and argue for or against having any contact. And there are times when the judge says, okay, I will allow contact if you get out on bail or I'm releasing you on your own recognizance. I will allow contact, and at times even I will allow you to return to the home just if the victim at any point in time in that says, I don't want to have any more contact with you, then you must disengage with contact. And that seems like a really dangerous precedent to me. I mean, because don't we know based on history, and there are exceptions, obviously, that a lot of victims will have whatever you call that syndrome where they are still in love with their abuser and they will still allow them in their lives. And for a judge to go along with that, I think is a dangerous precedent, but we see it all the time. Yeah. Right. I agree. Just call me Kim. The 18-year-olds, they're adults, so they can decide. I mean, in a case like this, so sitting there watching her in that hearing, she looked very normal and very competent. So I'm curious what the not guilty by reason of insanity defense is going to be. Is it temporary? Is it permanent? Is it religious delusions? And if it's religious delusions, how does that play into any type of mental health issues that she has going on? Is she on medicine now that she's in the Tuscarawas County Jail? Like, do they have her on some type of meds and that help her to appear more normal? Stockholm syndrome. Yes, thank you. Just call me Kim. So competency and not guilty by reason of insanity are completely different things. Like we saw that with Lori Daybell. Like she was not competent for 10 months. She had to have mental health treatment in Idaho for 10 months before she could go on trial in Idaho. But when she got extradited to Arizona for those two trials, she got evaluated by two different doctors who said she was competent to assist in her own defense. Has nothing to do with what their mental health situation was at the time that the acts were perpetrated, right? Yes, Kelly, it will be interesting if it goes to trial. This will be, we're going to keep track of this case for sure. She just looked like a normal mom sitting there next to her defense attorney and the paralegal. I assume that was the paralegal to her left. And she's nodding along with what the judge is saying. She's following along with what he's saying. I don't. Yeah, I'm going to withhold judgment of any kind until we see what her actual not guilty by reason of insanity defense is, and what, if any, psychologists, psychiatrists, doctors' evaluations will turn up. Actually, that's a good point, Carolina. Prevent mom from speaking to the witnesses because, yeah, her two 18-year-old sons are going to, and her 15-year-old daughter are going to be witnesses to the whole thing. So we do not want her to be able to influence them in any way, shape, or form. Very good point. Very good point. Rachel, I'm going to look into that. The evidentiary hearing, I'm guessing they have not had it yet because that hearing was on the 9th and it's the 27th. So that's math, 18 days ago, 2.5 weeks. If you remove the weekends out of that, I'm going to guess that it was at least 30 days continuance that the judge gave to that evidentiary hearing. So we'll probably get that sometime in October, I'm guessing. But I couldn't find the state of Ohio court record lookup. So I'm going to work on that once we're done with this and find out when the next hearings are. And we're going to follow along. I'm going to follow along in this case. You're welcome to follow along with me. I love all the insights we're getting. Y'all are making great points. It's just a very muddled case to me. Not guilty by reason of insanity has a lot of ramifications and implications. And so we know that when that's argued and that's awarded to a defendant, that they can be placed in a mental institution for the rest of their life if they unalive somebody. But I don't know what the specific laws and court precedent is in Ohio for that. Yeah, it's sad and disturbing. Lots of true crime is sad and disturbing. So we're going to dive into something now that's not true crime related at all. So this is going to wrap it up for me for the day. We're right at 2 hours. So last week was Salty and Kresha jumped up here with me, and we talked about this case. We talked about the Ruth Miller case, and we talked about a couple of other cases. I ended up going like 4 hours. I'm not going 4 hours today. But Kresha asked me, do you know who Korihor is? Because I called Lori Lorahor, because that's what Kresha's called her. And I like go along with that. But she asked me, do you know who Korihor is? And I said, yeah, but it was a yeah, like I remember it as a story from the Book of Mormon, but I didn't know specifically who that character was from the Book of Mormon, because I was in high school when I studied the Book of Mormon. So I found this little video about who Korihor is, and Kresha goes, that's the Antichrist. And I'm like, well, that's pretty strong. I don't remember that being part of the story. That's part of the story. So I found a little YouTube video about Korihor and his dealings with Alma, and Alma was another character out of the Book of Mormon, but I'm going to refresh my memory about who Korihor is. Oh, Ms. Woozy, you missed 2 hours of prime content. It was just me. It was just me. It was me talking about the Indiana fever and me talking about a really sad case out of Austin, the baby in the dumpster, but not as sad as it could be because the baby survived and the baby appears to be doing really, really well. All right. So we're going to wrap up today with this Korihor video. So this is a video produced by the Mormon Church. So this is their version of a story out of the Book of Mormon that deals with Korihor, who it says in the Book of Mormon, and I didn't remember that until I watched this video, was the Antichrist, according to the Book of Mormon. Ms. Woozy, where did you see that story about the baby? Because the only places I could find it were on local, like Austin, Texas TV stations. Are there other places that are covering? Because that would be really cool to see more of national coverage on that story than just like local Austin TV stations. Okay. I'm going to mute out for just a second while I pull this up and queue it up for the next story that comes from the Book of Mormon to wrap up our Saturday morning, now afternoon broadcast. And when you watch this, like a lot of you weren't with me when I covered Jason Mao. So Jason Mao was a Chad and Lori adjacent person. He's a former Phoenix police officer, City of Phoenix police officer that was at the temple at times when Lori was there. And we think that her code name for him was Moroni. He supposedly endowed upon her a priesthood that is higher than the Melchizedek priesthood, which isn't a thing in the Mormon Church. But he also wrote warrior stories and talked and taught about the warrior ethos from his Book of Mormon stories. Right, Kelly? Yeah, and supposedly now he's still teaching seminary, which is funny because that's the last time that I really studied the Book of Mormon in depth was when I was in high school in seminary being taught by somebody. People that I were taught by were not like Jason Mao, but still. All right, here we go. Let's add this to the stage. Try not to get too weirded out by this. I mean, this, just looking at this picture, though, it's like the guy on the right maybe has a little bit of kind of dark skin. The guy on the left is totally Anglo-Saxon, not blonde hair, but like medium to light brown hair, white skin. I mean, it goes back to me to the whole story of the Book of Mormon that they were from Jerusalem and they came across the ocean in boats that were completely watertight, which means they were also airtight. And then they landed in South America and they populated all of the Americas from South America. But then at one point in time, the Lamanites were dark skinned, and those are the Native Americans that we now, that when the Europeans came across, they called Redskins. Those are the Lamanites, and the Lamanites wiped out all of the Nephites who were light skinned, like the guy on the left. Oh, that's funny, Carolina. I got to check that out. Church of Korihor. That's funny. All right, so we're going to watch this. I may play it at like double speed. I might. We'll see. Okay, we're up here.
It came to pass in the latter end of the 17th year.
Okay, I forgot to mute out, so you guys got a little echo. But what you see right there, I'm glad I didn't mute out yet, because those are the quote-unquote golden plates that supposedly different prophets in the church rode on and kept a record of their peoples on, that Joseph Smith dug up out of a hill in New York, dug up in the woods in New York, and translated into the Book of Mormon today. So this is the representation of the golden plates that we're seeing right here. Okay, now I'm going to mute out so you guys don't hear an echo.
There came a man into the land of Zarahemla, and he was antichrist. For he began to preach unto the people against the prophecies which have been spoken by the prophets concerning the coming of Christ.
Why do you look for a Christ? For no man can know of anything which is to come. Behold, ye cannot know of things which ye do not see. Therefore ye cannot know that there shall be a Christ. Ye look forward and say ye see a remission of your sins?
Okay, I gotta stop. I'm not gonna make this through this whole video in the 11 minutes that it's on, even though it's on fast forward. You cannot know of things that you can't see. I'm gonna rewind it just like 30 seconds because this. No, I'm not. I'm not gonna rewind. I'm just gonna mute and keep going.
And many more such things did he say unto them, telling them that there could be no atonement made for the sins of men, but every man fared in this life according to the management of the creature. Therefore every man prospered according to his genius, and that every man conquered according to his strength.
Yeah, I promise this is the last time I'm going to pause. Oh, I can't promise that. But Mormons love to act. They love to put on productions. There's something that's called the Hill Cumorah pageant. Ms. Woozy, yeah, I don't know about the Church of Korihor. I'm definitely going to check that out after we get done with this. But Mormons love to act. They love to put on productions. They love to put on plays. They used to do this thing. I don't know if they still do it. When I was a teenager, they used to put on these things that were called road shows. And so all of the local wards would go to the stake center and they would have these productions. Most of the time they were musicals, but not all of the time. And they would write out their own scripts and they would put on their own production of these shows. They were supposed to be somewhat church adjacent, somewhat religious, but they weren't always. And if you could throw comedy in there, and a lot of times there was some comedy in there, and a lot of times there was some good comedy in there, but then they would give an award to like the best show, best actor. Like they would have road shows and then they would have roadshow awards, but they also have the thing that's called the Hill Cumorah pageant that they put on every year in New York. And it is this big, huge production that's reenacting the restoration of the true church. That's about Joseph Smith and the Sacred Grove and the appearance of all of the angel Moroni and all the other people that appeared to him. Like it's a big production. Mormons love that. They love to put on productions. And that's what this is. This is a production of somebody's idea of a story from the Book of Mormon.
and whatsoever a man did was no crime. And thus he did preach unto them, leading away the hearts of many, causing them to lift up their heads in their wickedness. Yea, leading away many women and also men to commit whoredoms, telling them that when a man was dead, that was the end thereof. And he came over into the land of Gideon, and began to preach unto them also. And here he did not have much success, for he was taken and bound, and carried before the high priest, and also the chief judge over the land.
Why? Why do you go about perverting the ways of the Lord? Why do you teach this people that there should be no Christ?
Wait, why does this guy have like a British accent? Does that automatically make you a better actor to have a British accent? Oh my gosh. Or maybe he really is British and he really does like have an authentic British accent. But just if you're reenacting a story from the Book of Mormon that took place in ancient North America, why do you have a British accent? It's like when Brad Pitt had a British accent, fake British accent, and when he was reenacting one of the Greek mythologies, I don't remember which one that was, but he had a fake British accent, and I cannot watch that movie to this day because Brad Pitt is offering a fake British accent because it's a Greek tragedy. Troy, I think that's the name of the movie. Yeah, I can't watch Troy to this day. All right, muting out again.
To interrupt their rejoicings? Why? Why do you speak against all the prophecies of the holy prophets?
Because I do not teach the foolish traditions of your fathers. And because I do not teach this people to bind themselves down under the foolish ordinances and performances which were laid down by ancient priests, to usurp power and authority over them, to keep them in ignorance that they must not lift up their heads, but be brought down according to thy words. Ye say that this people is a free people? Behold, I say they are in bondage. And ye say that these ancient prophecies are true? Behold, I say that ye do not know that they are true. And these people are a guilty and a fallen people because of the transgression of a parent. Behold, I say that a child is not guilty because of its parents. And ye also say that Christ shall come. He shall be slain for the sins of the world, and thus ye lead away this people after the foolish traditions of your fathers, and according to your own desires, and keep them down, even as it were in bondage, that ye may glut yourselves with the labors of their hands.
Okay, I don't know how much of that I can take. I think the point is that he's the Antichrist because he's like preaching the opposite of what they're preaching. Here we have the laying on of hands. Here we have more white people looking like kind of Native Americans, kind of. This is worse than spaghetti westerns, I think. And if you know what that reference is, then you might be as old as I am. My mom taught me about that. All right, I'm gonna go ahead to fast forward. I had to though. That was just getting intolerable.
Labors of these people. For behold, I have labored even from the commencement of the reign of judges until now, with my own hands for my support. Notwithstanding my many travels round about the land to declare the word of God among my people, and notwithstanding my many labors which I had performed in the church, I have never received even so much as one C9 for my labor. Now, if we do not receive anything for our labors in the church, what doth it profit us to labor in the church, save it were to declare the truth, that we may have rejoicing in the joy of our brother? And why sayest thou that we preach to get gain, when thou of thyself knowest that we receive no gain?
Yeah, I'm over Mormons acting for me and putting on productions. I thought I could watch this more. But I think the point is that I learned more about core horror than I knew since I was in high school. And it was literally referred to as the Antichrist in the Book of Mormon. So now I get the reference to lore horror. So thank you, Kresha, for challenging me on that. I remember now. and it makes sense. But I've also got to go check out the Church of Korihor. Church of Korihor. All right. I'll check out. You know what? If it's that funny, then I might drop the link. Let's see. Church of. Oh, there it is. All right. Atheist and foxholes. I know about that. Okay. If you want to check it out with me, there's the link. Otherwise, I'm going to wrap it up for this morning. I've got some things to work on. I've got to find out the Ohio court document system. I need to look up some things about Miracle Angel baby in Austin. That's just been going on last week. So thank you everybody for hanging with me. Thank you friends for hanging with me for a couple of hours. I appreciate it. And I'm going to keep covering cases that nobody else covers. I think I also need to cover some that others are too, like Laken Snelling. We took a look at that hearing. Squeegee, hey, welcome in. Thank you, and thanks to Aaron for dropping in and commenting and listening. Thank you everybody for hanging out with me. I'm going to leave you with a couple minutes of Charlie videos because that always makes my day better. So we will catch you on the flip side. Hopefully next Tuesday evening at the latest. Crush and I will have another stream. We didn't have one this week. We missed this week. So hopefully we'll be back and better than ever on Tuesday night. Everyone have a great weekend. Stay safe. Be well.
Good morning. Good morning. Hope you got your cup of joe and filled up your morning with good things to know.